Celestia here. We're going to continue with the story of Fig, so this will be the story of Fig Part 2, Meeting of the Stranger. Now, this is where my newest character, my newest girl, is going to become part of the story. Now this is my newest girl. This is just in there loosely. It has to be tacked in a little better because, well, it comes down a little bit low. So yes, this is the newest character. As you can see, she has no eyes. She's suffering from a condition called hidden eye, and it's actually a real human condition. I've got my notes here in front of me. It's called cryptophthalmos, or hidden eye. It's also called Fraser syndrome. It's a rare congenital anomaly where the skin anomaly in which the skin is continuous over the eyeball and there's an absence of eyelids. And if there are eyes behind there, they are probably fused to the skin and they are not able to be used. So yes, this is she. I wanted to have a unique character, and I thought that was going to be appropriate. So let's begin with part 2. Just a brief overview. My girl Fig, who was over here, I should have brought her closer. Here she is. Excuse me. Here's my beautiful girl wearing a pair of beautiful green pants that I made for her. And she is going to sit right there to make sure that her newest friend, that nothing happens to her. Now we're going to learn more about Fig and her clan through the newest character. She will be the one who will tell us about their abilities in describing where they live. Fig will describe to her where they live, and etc., etc. So, but let's get to how she actually came to be. The guards in the forest of Gren found this young woman sleeping under a tree. She has no memory of how she got there. She has no memory of how long she's been there. She remembers nothing. She doesn't even know her own name. So, of course, the guards thought it was a trick, that this was, crap, bull, whatever you want to call it. And they decided to take this beautiful woman to the clan chief to see if he could figure out whether or not she was lying. They were afraid that perhaps she was a spy for some other clan, to find weaknesses in the barrier, another clan or the humans or an enemy, to find weaknesses in the barrier so that they could get in to be able to get to the magical creatures that the Fig's clan knows that people really want. So they take this young woman to Falar, who is Fig's father, and she's scared to death. She doesn't want to talk. She's afraid to talk. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know how she got there. She remembers nothing. Falar is a very just man. He is more than willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. So when she says she doesn't remember who she is, she doesn't know how old she is, she doesn't know where she came from, when he asked her about her eyes, why she had no eyes, She had no idea what he was talking about. No idea. No clue. So Philar called his daughter Fig, who, as you remember, is able to do mind speak. She is able to read minds, even though she really doesn't like to. It's kind of against her personal morals to do so. However, as this is a stranger in their midst, her father said that it was something that she really needed to do. And when she asked him why, he told her plain and simple that he was afraid she was a spy from an enemy who was trying to find weaknesses in the barrier so that they could get in and hurt the magical creatures, which of course would just send Fig into fits because she very much feels responsible for the creatures in the forest. So they left Fig and the other young lady alone, and she's a human, and Fig tries to set her at ease by just talking to her, and the young woman starts asking questions about where she is. So Fig says, well, you're in the forest of Gren. She said, I don't know the forest of Gren. She said, well, do you know it as Gren Forest? And she said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And she said, well, where did you come from? She said, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember anything. She said, I don't remember my name. I don't know where I came from. I don't know how long I've been here. So Fig said, okay, relax. She said, why was I brought here? So Fig said, okay. She said, well, let me explain. She said, Gren Forest is a safe haven for magical creatures. And this young woman said, magical creatures? What do you mean magical creatures? Magical creatures like what? She said, well, like unicorns and jackalopes and shifters. She said, shifters? What are shifters? She said, what's a unicorn? What's a jackalope? She said, I don't know what you're talking about. What language are you talking? She's like, I don't understand. The poor thing was virtually in tears, and Fig felt very bad because she felt she had caused this. So again, she tries to calm her down. She said, my name is Fig. She said, okay, hi, Fig. She said, I'm an elf, and you're in my home. And she said, well, do you live in the mountains? She said, no. Why would you say that? She said, well, because, she said, I know that I had to climb. Oh, she said, I see. She said, no, we live in trees. And she said, you live in trees? She said, yes, we live in trees. She said, but only animals live in trees. Like birds live in trees, don't they? She said, I didn't think humans lived in trees. She said, well, we're not human. We're elven. She said, I don't know what that is. She said, we're a race of beings like yourself. She said, we think that you're a human. She said, well, okay, I'm a human, so what? Being very afraid and being, just not knowing what the heck is going on, she's a little bit testy. And Fig understands that. She said, I need to ask you something. Fig said to her, I need to ask you something. She said, you've been asking me all kinds of things, but what difference does it make? Go ahead. She said, I want to read your mind. She said, nobody can do that. She said, well, I don't think. Never heard of such a thing. she said, well, she said, I want you to come and sit down. She was like, and I'm going to put my hands on your shoulders, and then I'm going to put my hands on either side of your head, and I'm going to read your mind. She said, yeah, right. Okay, whatever. She said, you don't believe me? She said, no. She said, because I don't think people can do that. So she sat her down in a comfortable chair. She did. She said, I'm going to now put my hands on your shoulders, so I don't want you to jump. She said, I am not going to hurt you. I want you to know that. She said, I'm not going to hurt you. And if something happens and I do hurt you, it isn't intentional. She's like, oh, okay. So being an empath, she sent calming vibes through her hands into this young woman. And she felt her physically relax. She said, that's good. She said, you're doing really well. She said, well, I feel better. She said, good, I'm glad. She said, now I'm going to put my hands on your head. She said, I just want you to relax and breathe normally. She said, okay. So Fig does put her hands on either side of her head, kind of, she didn't do the Vulcan thing, Vulcan thing from Star Trek. She just put her hands on her head. And what she found was absolute chaos. There were fragments. It was as if her memory had been blown apart. There were very few pieces that were even connected. But she did manage to find one piece, and that was her name. And her name is Cecilia Beach. And she said, so she continued. She said, you're doing very well. She said, just continue to relax. But nothing made sense, nothing. That, like I said, it was as if her memory had been blown to bits. She said, okay, I'm going to take my hands off your head. She said, you and I are going to talk a little bit. She's like, that's good. She said, now, I did find something. I found out what your name is. She said, you did? She got very excited. She said, well, what is it? Where am I from? How old am I? How long have I been here? She said, whoa. No. She said, I only found your name. She said, your name is Cecilia. She said, Cecilia. She repeated it over and over and over. She said, it doesn't sound familiar to me. She said, but if that's what you found, then I believe you. So they decided that perhaps they needed to take her to a human doctor. But before they did that, they decided to try one of the elven healers. So Fig asked her if she would be receptive to having one of their doctors look at her. She was like, yes, of course, it'll help. I want to remember. I want to know who I am, where I come from. I want to know, is there a family that's looking for me that's missing me? She said, I want to know these things. So Fig said, okay. She said, okay, just chillax. So the healer came in. She did the same thing that Fig, they do a laying of hands, basically. If you have a broken bone, they put their magic healers, and they put their magic into that bone and then mend it. So the healer came in. She's very nice. She's older elf. She's around 600 years old, so she's around 60. And the healer could find nothing physically wrong with her. It wasn't as if she had a head injury. She didn't have a bump or goose egg, or she didn't seem to have a concussion or anything like that. So she couldn't understand why she didn't remember, which of course the healer saw as a threat. that this young woman had been purposely placed there to cause harm to the clan. And she reported this back to Falar, chief. So the young woman, Cecilia, was brought before Falar with Fig in tow. And Fig said, "You're wrong." She was like, "She is no threat to us. She doesn't remember anything." And the healer said, "Well, then how do you know she's not a threat?" And Falar said, "Well, relax, everyone, please. We're going to upset our guest." And the healer, of course, gets in a big huff and storms out, having said her piece. Falar said, I would like you to stay with us for a while, if that's okay." And she said, "Well, I don't have anywhere to go. I don't know where I'm supposed to be, where I belong. I don't know if I have a family." She said, "So, yes, I would like to stay here, but it's not going to be a problem." She said, why was that woman so upset?" She said, "Why does she think I'm a threat? A threat about what? What could I possibly do?" Falar said, "Well, I'm going to leave that to Fig to explain to you." He said, I have sent my wife Glyneth to straighten up the guest room here in our house. It's right next door to Fig's bedroom, and you will have that room for as long, and you can stay here for as long as you want." She said, "Why are you doing this?" And he said, "Because I'm not sure that you're not a threat." He said, "I'm not sure that you weren't placed here by an enemy of our clan." She said, "Oh, I understand." She said, "I would probably do the same thing." So they guide her to the room. Fig tells her where everything is, shows her, it's so many steps to the bed, so many steps to the privy. When you want fresh water, she said, "I'm going to attach a bell beside your bed." And she's like, "If you need anything, you ring the bell and it will ring in my room and I will come running." So she grabs a hold of Fig as she's up on her way out the door. And she said, "Do you think I'm a threat?" She said, "Do you think I'm not remembering some horrible secret that I was sent here by an enemy?" She said, "I want you to tell me the truth, please." And Fig said, "I will tell you the truth." And she said, "The truth is, I don't know." She said, "But my feeling is no, you're not." She said, "I saw bits and pieces of your memory in your mind." She said, "Something terrible must have happened to you." She said, "Either you went through something terrible or you saw something terrible, and that's why you don't remember." She said, "It's as if all of your memories have been blown apart." She said, "That's what I saw in your mind." And she said, "And you saw that my name is Cecilia?" She said, "Yes, I did." She says, "Okay, I believe you." So one of the Elven craftspeople came into Cecilia's room, announced himself at the door because he knew she couldn't see him. And she said, "I knew you were there." "Wow." She said, how did I know that?" He was like, "I don't know." She said, "Maybe I heard you?" He said, "Well, it's possible, I suppose." And he did rig up a bell that was on a wire that, she pulled on a cord that was right beside the bed. It would ring in Fig's room and Fig would come running to her. She laid down and tried to sleep on her bed. The bed was very comfortable. The room was very cool. It smelled nice. It smelled of flowers and fresh wood. And eventually, after much time, she relaxed enough to finally go to sleep. So, that is part 2, the story of Fig and the introduction of Cecilia, who has no memory. She didn't know her own name. We still don't know if she's a good guy or a bad guy, but we're going to find out together. I hope you enjoyed this part 2 of the story of Fig. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. If you're new, I hope you found this amusing. And before I head off myself, I want to thank you all for all of the wonderful name suggestions that you gave me for my new Blythe doll. They were wonderful names. I wish I could have used every single one of them. I really do. But she told me her name was Prudence. And she wasn't talking when she first got here, but she eventually warmed up to me, and we're getting to know each other. So part 3 will be coming next week, I hope. And we will continue to learn about Cecilia and the elves. And we're going to learn about them through, I would say, the eyes of Cecilia, which she doesn't have any, but through her experiences living with the elves. Learn about what they're able to do, what they, their abilities are themselves. I don't want this to be too much longer. It's already more than 20 minutes. But we are going to learn about Cecilia and Fig and her people together. Okay? So I'm going to go, and I'm going to tell you to remember to be good to yourselves, to be good to each other, and especially be good to your dolls. And remember